self-love as the cure-all. There's a lot of talk about self-love, self-compassion, self-confidence. Welcome to today's video. If you like it, don't forget to like, subscribe and leave a comment down below. Today I want to touch on the subject of self-love. I've been recently introduced to a concept in terms of self-love that was not only super interesting but also quite eye-opening for myself. So I want to share it with you. This concept has been introduced to me by my own coach. She's an incredible woman and she made it her mission to empower other women to follow their own unique path. She's basically a self-love spiritual coach. This is how she describes herself. And she comes from the point, if you really love yourself, if you come to that place of self-love, anything is possible. She's not your average girl, and I mean this in the most positive way possible. She's very unique and true to herself, and this is something that I highly respect her for. So it is important to me to credit her for today's content. I'm gonna put her Instagram account in the description box below so you can go and check her out. With that, we are diving into today's topic, which is a concept called the self-love umbrella. The 6 categories that fall under the self-love umbrella are self-awareness, self-respect, self-trust, self-forgiveness, self-confidence, and self-worth. The idea behind it is that you score yourself on 1 to 10 on each of those subcategories. So she would ask us, how do you feel in terms of self-awareness? Like 1 to 10, how do you score yourself? Are you very aware of those patterns or not? Like, are you very conscious of your limiting beliefs or not at all? And you would just give yourself a score. And you can actually do this along with me if you like, so just give yourself a score 1 to 10. One important thing to keep in mind when doing this exercise is to answer intuitive. Like if the number 7 comes up and you're like confused about that number, don't worry about it, just write it down. The next one would be, how do you score yourself from 1 to 10 in terms of self-forgiveness? Like, are you super harsh on yourself for every little mistake that you make, or are you very forgiving in the sense, okay, I just learned something, everything, it's all good? Where's your score 1 to 10 there? The next is self-trust. How do you trust yourself in being able to figure things out? How do you trust your abilities to take care of yourself? Like when things get hard or uncertain, what's your self-trust level? And again, you would score yourself 1 to 10 on how you feel in terms of self-trust. The next one is self-respect. How much do you respect yourself, your own boundaries, your own standards that you set for yourself? Like, let's take relationship, having a certain standard, like I do not tolerate an abusive partner, for example. This is a standard and is about self-respect. Do you respect yourself enough to keep yourself to those high standards? And again, you would score yourself 1 to 10 on how you feel in terms of self-respect. Next, you have self-worth. Again, how do you feel in terms of self-worth? 1 to 10. Do you feel worthy of all the abundance that is out there, or do you feel like you have to earn every single thing? Do you feel worthy of love from someone else or not at all? Lastly, we have self-confidence. Again, you would score yourself 1 to 10. How do you feel about self-confidence? Are you very confident about yourself, in yourself, your abilities, how you show up, the things that you do, your skill set, and all those kind of things? Like, are you confident in who you are? The next step in this exercise will be to look on where your score is and where you want it to be. Like if you have on self-forgiveness a 5 and you want it to be a 10, what does it need to be a 10? Like, what does need to happen for you to feel self-forgiveness at a 10? And what this does, it shows you your limiting beliefs and the undercurrent pattern. Like if in terms of self-forgiveness you have like, oh, I need to hear that I am forgiven for what I did, then you know only every time that someone tells you, oh, it's okay, don't worry about this, only then you can forgive yourself. And with that, you realize that you're making yourself codependent on someone else in terms of self-forgiveness, because you're giving your power away to someone else in order to forgive yourself. And you can do this with all categories, like with all subcategories, and realize what your limiting patterns are, what your limiting beliefs are, and dissolve them in that way. This is basically the exercise. I'm going to share with you the huge breakthrough that I had with this exercise, which was really mind-blowing and a real game changer. When reflecting on the exercise and having self-confidence and self-trust so high, I was very surprised because I always thought I had low self-esteem because I'd never really trusted myself to go out with my content, to show up, I was always worried about what people might think about my content and so on. So it was very confusing to have self-confidence and self-trust so high. But when I looked at self-worth, it just made so much sense. It wasn't that I wasn't trusting myself and being able to do that, or it wasn't that I wasn't confident that I could pull it off. It was I didn't feel worthy of it. In my perception, self-worth was something to be earned. And only when you earned that, everything else was allowed to fall into place, like the success, doing what you love from other people. And it made such a click within myself to realize, okay, it doesn't matter how much more work I'm going to put into it. As long as I don't feel worthy of the success, of the love, of the abundance, like I can be the best in the world, it doesn't matter because I won't feel worthy of it and I will sabotage myself. The next step was figuring out how to change this around. Like, how would I stop feeling that I had to earn my worth? I could objectively look at myself and be like, oh, you're a good person. Like, in essence, you're a really good person. Therefore, you are worthy of it. But I didn't feel it. So the question really was, how do I turn this around? How do I feel worthy? And after an exchange with Sarah, she said something that, like a very simple little phrase that changed it all around for me. And she started with, when you see your self-worth. So up until then, it was about being worthy. And for myself, unconsciously, being was something to be earned, is something to get to, versus seeing implies that it's already there. It literally was changing the perspective from being worthy to seeing worth. I see my worth now because I'm not trying to earn it anymore. So sometimes it's really just that change of perspective or changing one little word that changes the whole experience. So go ahead and try out this exercise for yourself. It's such an amazing exercise. I really love it. And if you come to the point of a blockage, ask yourself, like, what would need to change for me to feel the way I want to feel? And then you really see where you are and where you want to go and what needs to shift. So this is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. And I'm wishing you a beautiful day. Take care.